Hello, I would like to welcome everybody I would say in midstream of our Film Spring Open. Today I would like to welcome you to the lecture called Faster, Easier, More Creatively, or how to use Gen AI in a commercial movie in practice. The lecture will be held by a fantastic duo, the director Marcin Ziębiński and Edyta Jadowska, visual communication specialist. Let's greet them with all our enthusiasm, and I would like to add that we're so happy that Edyta joined the Film Springers family, because we've been meeting here as participants, and right now we are here. Edyta has her own group, so congratulations. I keep my fingers crossed for the fantastic lecture and for the success of her group. Hi. I just wanted to say in very short terms, because Edyta has a lot to say. I'm so happy because of that, because I started in times when movies were made on a 35mm film, and you had to have a huge crew to do any sort of a movie. And right now it changed. And you can make a movie at your place, in your apartment, alone, and it's fascinating. I didn't know too much at some point about that, but when I met Edyta, who explained to me a lot of things, my eyes opened. I'm under huge impression of the power that these tools can have. The tools that are, as you know, they're developing at a neck-breaking speed. I would like to leave the floor to Edyta, because she's a specialist in it. So Edyta, the floor is yours. Hi, thanks Marcin for this fantastic introduction. I don't feel like a great specialist because it's a very broad topic. Nevertheless, I hope you were attending Jacek Nagłowski's lectures before, who explained in a philosophical way and in a multi-dimensional way how to think about AI, not to go crazy. And also with Kobaselaksa, who was describing that whatever you put in artificial intelligence, in order to have it at high quality, the certain processes have to take place, digestive process, so to speak. Here will be more practical. Here I will approach it from a more practical angle: where to enter, where to click, what to do to get something out of this for yourself, on putting all those existential and moral dilemmas on the side. So generally today, thanks to AI, we can create a script, image, music, sound, the voice of an actor in really like a few seconds. We can also create a video clip in a few minutes. Does it mean that we can prepare a ready commercial or a movie in an hour? Theoretically, yes, but this will be of a very poor quality. I have the analogy here to romance and the long relationship to wake you up. So in a way, generating anything is like a short romance. It's like a white night stand, exciting. Whatever will happen. It's fun. But in order to do something proper, to build something that makes sense, it takes a longer time and more work to communicate with the AI, to get to know the AI. And to answer the question, what do we expect from that relationship? GenAI is a abbreviation from generative artificial intelligence. It's something that creates something for us, not only analyzes mails, whether it's spam or not spam. It can, for example, create a spam email for us. That's the main difference, so to speak. So GenAI gives you lots of possibilities, but it still has a lot of limitations that arises because they are non-deterministic by nature, which means that these results we are exposed to certain randomness, but the power is such that these results are quite surprising. As Jacek said, it's a different form of intelligence. So it's both limiting and a huge opportunity. Just like Kobas said, again, I will be referring to other authorities here, that the whole teams of programmers work over to make this work in such a way that you can put overlays on those models for us to be able to control them more and to give them more congruity, coherence. They require a lot of good prompting and many attempts. I believe there's no ideal prompt, and somebody will tell you, okay, put that in and keep to that. It requires a lot of experimenting. But on the other hand, that means that the film knowledge of what are the settings of the camera, what are the different types of films, that helps a lot, and it allows you to generate better, because you can for example prompt what sort of film your image should reflect. It also allows you to judge whether what has been generated is okay and whether you need this, and they are being constantly developed. Currently, video, you remember how it was a year ago, I hope. It looked really bad. Nevertheless, these clips have several seconds. Still plenty of elements look bad, but they're being developed on our very eyes and force us to be flexible. Sometimes you have this feeling that you have to relearn the tools every week, and it forces you to think. And if something doesn't work well, it forces you to think, oh, maybe we should do it in a slightly different way. So we can somehow translate those limitations to possibilities, to opportunities or strong sides. Well, GenAI is not free, so we have both open source ones which we can download and have them in our computer and tinker with them, but they require a computer with a very good graphic card and programming capabilities, so that you can unpack this and use this. And you also have commercial models which are being developed especially by big corporations, and they work on the service of that company. They have nice, simple interface. Anybody can enter there, anybody can get there and create something, but quite often they have very costly subscription, because processing all this costs money and everybody wants to earn money, and now when the artificial intelligence is developing even more so it's good to know about that. Nevertheless, we're moving on to show how to use GenAI in the process of creating commercials and ideas and works of fiction. So now let's move on to LTX Studio, the first tool, which is very helpful in pre-production. And I will ask Marcin, what do you think about this one? I think that this is a very helpful tool, but on the other hand, it's very fickle and tricky too, because if we are preparing this for somebody, then it might occur that somebody will get used to what we will show, and some of the pictures might be such that in reality we will not be able to develop them in such a way. So it's a great threat. But if we are creating something for ourselves or internally, it's a very good tool, because artificial intelligence then helps us with certain solutions that we might not even come up with, because it divides. So it has two sides. One is dangerous when it's a commercial tool for earning money. But if it's something that is a tool that helps us in imagining what we have to do, I think this is fantastic. So now I'll tell you what it's all about with this tool. It's a holistic film platform, because the workflow of creating a movie, if you wanted to make a video, everything generated from AI generated. As of today, workflow is you create individual elements for yourself. You first create an image, out of which you create a video in a different software. You create sound, and in a different you create music, and you put this all together in Premiere, Adobe Premiere. However, LTX Studio is an example of a platform where you can do all that in one place, so you do not need to jump around these various programs, and the workflow is such that you can even put in some loose idea and it will generate a script for you. This script is divided into shots, just like we have the first scene here of a commercial about a dragon, which is divided into two shots, And with that, further down we have additional shots and additional takes, and then we can animate those images, so which gives you an animatic. And this can be done in 10 minutes. And at the end, we are left with a video that has generated moving shots. The dragon would fly around, the egg would break. Of course, it's not of very high quality. It's not a ready product that you can sell. Nevertheless, it's fantastic to visualize your idea and to have control over it, to see those shots. They are not like sort of some loose pictures. You can also get samples of or characteristics of a character. It generates a pitch deck where you have a short story, a mood board generated, a palette of colors, and also it puts files into Premiere and Resolve. So all the videos generated here, you just download files and they're already in the file. So you can move them around. You do not need to download each individual videos. It all goes pretty fast. I just wanted to say that this is a tool which releases storyboard not in form of drawings, but in form of images, of photos. We'll talk about drawings later. Yes, and here we used during our workshop. We used this in such a way that it showed that it's easier to talk about ideas when you can show them very quickly in the form of an animatic. And one more thing, we made an exercise here that students first they did their own shooting boards, so their divisions of shots, and then we asked LTX how it would do the division, and we were looking what is the difference in looking at it and in storytelling, and how many shots should be shown. So this was a very interesting exercise. A lot of differences. Yeah, well, there were things which were similar, but quite often the students would give too many shots or too few shots, or the storytelling of the students was not exactly told the story that they were supposed to tell, and the AI was telling the story after all. So there is some sort of we have NVIDIA AI or Hypernatural, where it also generates everything in one spot. However, you put in the idea or a script, but it's still, the quality is dubious, and the control over individual scenes is much more limited than in LTX Studio. But it's an interesting program to start, to translate what you had in your head to show it to others. If you wanted to talk about storyboards in a more painted in a more traditional way, just like Marcin said, the danger is that if you're showing what LTX has generated, then the client might get attached to its look. And here you have also alternatives which generate storyboards in a more classical way, just like Storyboard AI, or we have Storyboarder AI, which is an alternative. And the Storyboarder AI has broader capabilities. You can differentiate the quality. You can make it with a very, very simple sketch, a very complicated sketch, almost photorealistic pencil, colored. But everything in a graphic form. So this is very interesting, and you have very high control over the images. They differ. I will maybe repeat the questions if you ask. According to you, when you analyze various projects, do you differ among one another, or are they very schematic? What do you mean that? Storyboards generated by Storyboard AI, are they different? No. Well, of course, they're different in a form that you can do it in such a way. You can have this very simple storyboard. Well, the sketch can be simple, complicated. If the question is if you make a storyboard, it will generate it slightly differently every time. and will divide it into shots? Yes, it will, because that's the rule that we talked about. It's just like with the shots, and that every time it's slightly different, because it does not recreate reality. It is a bit random. All the same with LTX. We are talking about the when you repeat generation, you can it's different every time, and you also can choose styles, so it can also look differently. Have you heard about ChatGPT? I do remember when I first met ChatGPT, I decided that this will not survive and this doesn't make sense. And why is anybody showing that to me? And right now, this is my biggest friend and quite often my psychologist. I will not hide this from you. ChatGPT, of course, we do not want to show the overview of all incredible tools, but show you those that are accessible and those who everybody can use that you can have it in one place. So ChatGPT, in my view, works extremely well as a creative partner, but let me repeat that, partner, and not your superior, not as your employee. When you say generate something for you, and then I will just convey it on. So ChatGPT allows you to make a research and find inspiration. The thing is, it can read documents, it has access to internet, and it has quite a broad knowledge. So this helps. It allows you to find creative commercials concerning other touristic places and point me to the websites when I can find those things. Allows me to help treatment, to create the script, to improve dialogues, improve correct grammatical mistakes, translate the script to other languages, create log lines. So there's plenty of things. Change the mood of the text, but it's still you're still there and you're reading what it did there, and you have to think what you wanted there. I'm a great fan of voice assistant. I don't know if you used on your or in an app that you talk to ChatGPT. For me, it's a great solution, because then this discussion about ideas is in a totally different way than when you write and when you sit at a computer. You can walk around, you can sort of talk to this voice and it says, I have different ideas, I will tell it to you right now, what my idea it is. And could you sort of put it in a short form for me, so that I know, so that I had it in one piece. And then we will talk about it, what could be changed there. And yes, for me, this is a great discovery that I can talk with someone at every moment of day and night, and quite often when I need somebody to explain something for me, I also ask ChatGPT. So this voice assistant is a great solution. I recommend that to you. One more thing, it records it later. And then you enter the web version, and all your ideas are recorded there. So I recommend this to you. Nobody pays me for this commercial. Another interesting option in ChatGPT is GPTs. These are the versions of a chat which are already adapted to individual tasks. As Jacek said, the discussions go with the model are through the context window. So every time you have to give some sort of a context what you want to talk about, so that it would be able to help you as much as possible in this. GPTs, which are available when you enter the chat and you have a paid version. No, not anymore. So they are available also in the free versions, and somebody made this job that they created this GPTs, and it adapted it to some concrete tasks. Everybody can create such a GPTs for yourself. You can create it in the paid version, and it's very helpful. Okay, I'm talking about mentors. Some people create the mentors, like Steven Spielberg, who taught ChatGPT based on the text describing the style of Steven and on the interviews, and then you can talk to Steven saying, "Hey Steven, I'm writing a commercial for Małopolska. Can you help me with starting out?" And when I talked to Steven, he said, "Hey, I'm very happy that Małopolska, it's a very interesting region." and then I say, well, he filmed the Schindler's List here, so he knows. It's not. No, I mean, you shouldn't go crazy about it. You don't go neurotic, but it is a way to pimp up our creativity. This is how I look at it. And GPT also is there to help write prompts for Midjourney and Runway and other tools. Thanks to that, it is easier to start such GPTs to write what you want to generate there, and it will create a prompt for you, which you then, of course, you have to read and think if this is what we wanted to do. And what is important is that generally prompts are written in English for the software, and this allows us to write a prompt in Polish, and ChatGPT translates that into English, and this is a great thing if English is not your forte and if you wanted to create a big complicated prompt. Yes, that's very important. Hey, I want to create an image like this and or like that. You write that in Polish, and he answers you with a prompt in English. So, for example, Midjourney prompt generator allows to create, and ChatGPT is a visual assistant of yours, because ChatGPT, it has its DALL-E model for generating pictures, and these pictures are generated directly in chat, and they, when it comes to realism and cinematic look, they're not that good, but they retain a certain coherence of style and coherence of the character. This is you can see the style they're done in. It's good to develop your storyboards, visual inspirations, and after you create such storyboards, these images can be used as a reference for your final Midjourney images, because Midjourney is better for creating such images. Okay, let's move on. We get to the script. For a short form, I think ChatGPT is sufficient in order to brainstorm with it. However, there are also AI programs which allow to write such longer scripts, for like Story Prism, for example. It's cheaper, it's smaller, the interface is not so great, but there you can go step by step. And I don't know, here I put in a screen that you have a question about what is the conflict in this movie. And if you don't have an idea, you click generate, and it generates an idea for you. You generate again, and you have another idea. And it is some sort of a point of departure to think about what you could do there. There's also Plot. It's pretty expensive, and as you can see, also nicer. So it's good. There are things out there like this. So if you have the so-called writer's block, it's very helpful. We get to the image. We have a question. Where's the microphone? So Kobas asks about Plot. When it comes to Plot, it's more of a reference. It works similarly to like Story Prism. It leads you step by step through the writing process. So, for example, even just like creating a character, and it generates. You more work as an editor rather than you have to write something from the scratch on a piece of white paper. We get to the image. There's plenty of tools for generating images today. We have DALL-E, which I mentioned, which is in ChatGPT. So I will not delve on this too much. We have Adobe Firefly. Those of you who have Adobe Firefly, Adobe probably met with that. I think it's $4.99. It is quite easy for the beginners. You select a style and you generate nice things. It is also it also has other armed with other Adobe tools, so like Illustrator, Photoshop. So you can, for example, you can add pieces of images, it is similar with Illustrator. I don't know if you're using Illustrator, but you can also create individual elements from the scratch in the style of an image that we have there. And it is ethically trained based on open source Adobe stock and public domain. Sometimes the results, because they're trained on a limited material, the results are not less creative than Midjourney, for example, in my opinion at least. This Leonardo AI, Kobas Laksa is the great ambassador of Leonardo. Is that true? Yeah, he likes it. There's a lot of interesting tools, like for example this canvas that you draw on canvas, and on the other side it changes that into a really nice picture, so you have a certain control over this composition. There's a very good upscaler which Kobas Laksa is the ambassador of. So the quality of the images you put in there, like old images, it really pimps them up. Of course, you have to be careful how it does it and what is the final result. And Leonardo AI, this develops very quickly. It wants to catch up with Midjourney. That's my view. So we have consistent character, which you already have in Midjourney. So when you're creating an image, you have a certain reference of style, or to have the consistency of the character. I think these images are a bit less creative when it comes to abstract and non-standard art, and you do not have advanced functions of Midjourney. In Midjourney you can edit without end, but this tool is worth knowing, and you can do crazy stuff in it. Now let's get to our winner, at least in my competition. Well, winners, because there are two, which are the ones Flux and Midjourney. Jacek nods his head. Oh, that's great. Phew. Let's start with Midjourney because it's very popular. Who out of you used Midjourney, tried to use Midjourney? Who out of you used Midjourney in Discord? Was it painful a bit? No, it wasn't. For me, it was. No. We're talking about the earlier version when we had to enter it through Discord. Well, it was painful for me because I didn't use Midjourney because Discord. I thought the Discord decided would kill me. But now that you have a standalone interface, I'm a very happy user. So now you can use in the web version, which is nice, which you will see after these classes. It has a nice interface, so you have different models, also on older models, not only on 6.1, and see how things work there. It allows you to mix, to impact the result, to keep the consistency of style and characters, because it is important not only when you generate 6 seconds films. When you want to generate something more, this coherence, this continuity of character is very important. So you can make this chain of images which have this consistency, and then you can process them in programs in software that I will talk about in a sec. You have to pay, unfortunately, from the scratch, but this continuity doesn't work always, but it's really worth the try. And you have a full richness of images, not only in Midjourney, but I think the big power of Midjourney is that you have this Explore tab where you can see what other people generate. You have plenty of this in there. You can use individual keywords and then individual images of this fantastic sheep you can take as a style reference and generate something of similar style for yourself, for your own project or whatever. You can also use it as character reference and generate a character of a similar style. So the possibilities of mixing are just incredible there, and you can have several images, and Midjourney would generate things in a style you don't even know what style it should be. So don't worry, I will not read that. I will not encourage you to read that either. I think there are different various approaches to prompting, and it's not that somebody will tell you you're writing short prompts, so you're useless because you have to write long prompts. It all depends on what you want to achieve, and quite often I write quite often public sector because I'm generating things for our clients' events, and I'm saying, it's gonna work. I mean, whatever, it's gonna work. You can introduce more conceptual things. Quite often you have atomic prompting where you enter short phrases to later adapt it and change individual elements. You can also write long sentences. Experiment and check what works for you. You can also put in emoji and see what happens. We have a question. This is documentation, but I sort of generated this documentation together with ChatGPT based on the different websites. I recommend that to you. So, if you wanted to start prompting of images by yourself, I remember when I tried to do movies, they always said that when you're writing a script, describe what's inside and not your own the thoughts of characters. So prompting for me is a bit of describing what's happening in the picture and what I see there. And there is actually a game in Labs Google that you have an image on the left-hand side. You do not have it's not written what's there, and you have to write a prompt. You have to write what you see there, and then it generates based on what you've written and to what extent it writes you to what extent it matched what you wrote there. So it opens your eyes to see and say, how do you look at those images? And yeah, this is quite funny. I recommend this to you. Very good. Let's move on. When it comes to developing a coherent, continuous, the continuity of characters, you take this sheep as a character reference, but you can also approach this in many different ways. For me, a very good way is to generate, for example, a character in different poses. Here you have a GPTs, which prepares such prompts very well, and then having this character sheet, you will later be able to generate in different styles this character, and this gives very interesting results. Here, a more cinematic look to my project to my romantic projects which take place in Middle Ages. More about it later. Flux is open source, so you can download it for free to your computer. You can also use it on servers of other companies like Replicon or Fall AI, where you pay, I don't know, $10 maybe, and it's sort of for one picture of Flux in Replicon or Fall you write 4 cents, but then you do not need to do that on your computer or have some magical computer. It's great for photorealistic cinematographic shots. But it's also great to be we are able to generate image out of our own pictures. It requires a computer with a good graphical card. The interface is not so nice, and you don't have such well-developed functions like Midjourney that you have style reference, changing parts of the picture, and it's great. It's great for generating a mini model of sorts. It's called Flux LoRa. LoRa means low rank adaptation, which is a sort of overlay on the model, which is frozen, which understands a lot of things, and you do not have to train it based on the millions of your own pictures. It's enough to have like 10 of your own pictures of your character, and then it generates. LoRa generates, having this reference, this mini model, different pictures with the same character. So I had prepared this blonde princess, and she's sitting in a car, or she's with the dragon. Does it all have to be done locally? Yes, it can be done locally. It requires a lot of calculating power of a computer. I'm talking about your computer because this is a program that can be on your computer. And Flux appears in various platforms, just like Kria AI. It has a very nice interface there, quite similar to Midjourney, more limited functions that you would have in your computer, but it's fun to test it out. And it's important that the images that AI creates for us, they are not of so top quality that you put it in video immediately, because quite often the rule which you have in the GenAI world is that if you put in good in order to have it video clip out of that, it should be of high quality, because we cannot expect to get a mediocre image and get a fantastic video out of that. So it's important to upscale stuff, the image. There's upscaler in here. You have Topaz, for example, even though it's pretty expensive, but also Leonardo AI top upscalers work pretty well too. They're free of charge, but well, your mileage may vary, but it's worth to remember about upscaling and be aware of it, because we're getting to the video. When it comes to video, the current state of art, when it comes to capabilities, I would say the most important part is we can quickly generate short clips, even 1 minute. So this possibility, I think it's still a wow factor, because we got used to this a bit, but this is where we start. There is a lot of flexibility in input formats. It's not that you just put in text and you generate video. You could put in an image, which I've been talking about already, and it gets animated for you, and you can put in video too, and the video will be changed, for example, from the point of view of style. So this animation of movement is pretty realistic. With simple scenes, it can use very well, and it develops very fast. As you probably remember what it looked like a year ago and what it looks like now, it's crazy. And you get more and more advanced. It allows you to create more advanced videos, and we'll see what the future will bring. These possibilities are fantastically high, and the limitation is the length. These are usually 6 to 10 second long clips. If you want to generate something longer, you have to divide that into segments and do it in a smart way. So these programs will generate a video for you. You can prolong it if it's generated. However, quite often you have to take the last frame and generate on. You just have to come up with new ideas. The resolution and frame rate are limited. It generates in HD theoretically, but the results are usually 720p. Runway generates in 24 frames per second, and it's not possible to do it in 60 or 30 or whichever you want. Minimax, which is a Chinese generator, it's 25 FPS, so it's also a limitation. And quite often you have to use different tools to change the frame rate. And it's difficult also to generate complicated scenes, where we have something. If you want, we have a very limited. We have very limited control over the details. So sometimes we have to agree with. So adapting this, adaptation to what you want to get, it is a bit painstaking, and this control is limited, and the cost of generating video is quite expensive. We're saying that in the context of a person who's using this. I think it's more about that you're not doing something for free. I sort of stopped here because for me this is the biggest risk, especially in the commercial, that this tool is not, it's so democratic. You can create something without any knowledge. The costs relative to creating any sort of image or film, trying to do it in a classical way, the money would be 110,000 times higher. So I absolutely do not agree that cost is a limitation. Yes, I mean, you are absolutely right when it comes to, in order to do it in a standard, proper way, and to do it in AI, there's no comparison. There is no discussion about this. However, we're just saying that this is a certain cost that is related to the person who's using this, so that you know that you have to pay for this, and that's all. This is a very important element of this revolution, because where do you get the idea that the AI should be for free and we can use it for free? Well, why this idea if we pay for everything and suddenly we get artificial intelligence? And especially in commercials, I wanted to ask you about that. Lowering costs is the question to the agencies. Let's do it in AI, it's going to be cheaper. I was wondering why artificial intelligence would do something for free and the cost is a limitation with $20 for ChatGPT, or $40 times 5 for 200 zlotys. We can make a movie. The movies are being made totally in Midjourney or Runway, and the cost for the company is no. Guys, let's try to talk still about the tools that we're talking here about, because I think that these are financial, philosophical problems and economic problems, and we still have some tools to discuss. So I just wanted to finish this, and then maybe let's talk about, if we have enough time, of course, if you allow. No, I understand your point of view, because from my point of view, if you have a tool and I have a piece of software and the final effect is a video I wanted to create, and I create it with AI, but then because I do not have the control, if I were to generate those things for the whole day, then for me this path was an more expensive path than, at the end of the day, if I wanted to create a movie, I had some idea, and then I realized that before I get to the place I like, it will be finally more expensive than if I made it in a more classical way. Guys, let's talk about this. Let's try to finish now, because we still have a lot of stuff to discuss. So, Edyta, in your hands. So, to continue on what you guys said, for me, an ideal situation would be if I were able to get the results of different programs like Runway and Kling, but in order to do it, I would need to have a lot of money to pay for subscriptions. I'm not saying that it should be for free, but I just said that for many people that it might be a bit of a blocker if they want to start without having an agency or loads of money. Edyta, moving on. We're moving on. Runway ML is a basic tool for generating videos, and I think many of you will be surprised. It will allow you to create videos based on text. So we put in a prompt and we see what we get there. Of course, we can use GPTs or all sorts of other prompting pages, but I recommend GPTs. That's when you write what sort of video you would like to get. It helps. You can also get an image, it will animate, and the video where it changes the style. But also in Runway and also in other software tools, this control is growing a bit. You can define what is the first frame and what would be the last frame. And thanks to that, Runway or other tools will help us in creating what is in between. And you have bigger control, and you know how it will end, how it will start, and it generates up to 10 seconds. You can prolong it later. So it is still, for a commercial, you don't maybe need very long shots, but if you like very long videos, but it might be a limitation if you wanted to generate something else. It also does lip sync and audio. So and Gen 3 uses up loads of credits because there's a credit system. You can buy an unlimited version, which costs $29 a month. For some, it is little. For some, it is more. No, it's up to this for a discussion. No, of course, guys. If these are used by agencies, commercial agency, and people who are earning money on this, then of course, like, this is no money at all. This is like peanuts. We're talking. Let's not talk whether it's expensive or not. Let's just discuss. You have to know that this costs this and that. If somebody has that amount of money, you just buy this. If you don't have this money, then you have to find this money, or look for open source tools. We're talking here not on the scale of commercials related to agencies, but we're trying to show here to the people who want to make a homemade commercial video, and they're just starting out, and they have nothing to do with the commercial world, but want to create a bit of an art and put it on YouTube. So we're sort of giving you information, but absolutely, of course, we can talk about it, that the price here is nothing for the agency. For the agency, the $1,000 would be nothing. So we're talking about commercials, but on FilmSpring Open workshops. So here are my sweetie videos that I created very fast. I tried to keep the consistency of a character here, of this cute dragon who is using baths in Tuchola, but it's also in Małopolska vineyards. These are very simple videos. It splashes around in the water here, and here it just walks. So small things, but so nice. Runway, apart from that, allows you to create things that I will only show you here. It helps. I mean, you have plenty of drone users here, drone pilots. However, you can very quickly generate such stuff like this was generated with the first attempt. It allows you to do dynamic first-person view, movement from a cave into some dreamy cloud landscape. It makes animated text. This is less animated, but you can also get such effects by writing to it that it should have a video text like Tatry and sheep on the mountains. Change of style. We have a wild boar, which we generated for one of the movies. It was in a different style. I made it a bit of a Muppet, and here a more metallic one. And Runway is a platform where we have a lot of tools in one place. So the tools that I find very interesting is remove background. So preparing a character on green screen. If we have footage or out like in the town, done out in the town, so cropping out these two characters and doing it on a green screen. Yeah, we did that yesterday evening. I didn't experiment with hair. I mean, even in professional graphical programs, hair is problematic. So you have plenty different tools for animation. You've got 3D models there. So this inbaiting. So when we remove certain elements from the video, these pixels tend to jump around. Of course, we can make a super slow motion or a depth of field, depth of focus. So this is a program with exploring. You can enter there, and you have certain amount of credits for free, and you can experiment. And Runway, it's worth to know Runway, and you have to know Runway. We have Kling AI. I don't know if you know Adam Strzelecki. He does great stuff in this. He's here with us in FSO. He works most often in Kling AI. He generates generates image and video. There's plenty of tools available. What's interesting in Kling is that lip sync works there fantastically. And also the camera movement. When we have the video, I mark some objects and we point with the arrows where the character is supposed to go, or that the bird is supposed to fly in that direction or this direction, and something is to get closer to the camera. So it's great for experimenting. Unfortunately, my experience is that I got generated for several hours in a free plan, but your mileage may vary again, and there's not a limited plan. Runway has it, so you can generate it there. In terms of Kling, these credits run away very quickly, and you have to reload it. But what Adam does, on a community part of Kling, he puts his video there, and you also get additional credits. So for developing this community and this platform. I did this female knight here. I added like a simple voice to it. Several hours of generation. What is the length of the video? 6 seconds? Okay. We're saying that it can render for a very long time. But when it comes to the money, Edyta has to say though. In the free plan, I just decided to generate an image that this lady would be on an image and she would talk. So this exactly video in a free plan. I was sitting in the evening and I uploaded this, and on the next day in the evening, the rendering took place. But I also had better moments when it was pretty fast. But this was the free version. But this takes place because video is cute, because people all around the world are using this software of the free plan, and who is first, he renders, and then another one renders, and the third one. So if you have a long queue, you have plenty. You have many days waiting. And this model is of higher quality. That's why it renders for a longer time. Let's move on. Minimax is a model that appeared not a long time ago. It's Chinese. I don't know, I keep stressing this, but Kabas also said about the Cold War between the US and China, with the world domination, etc. I really like Minimax because it is a simple program. For the few months that it started, you put in prompts and it generated videos. And this video was very good, in my view. Right now you can also upload image, and based on it animates the image. And I remember when this function appeared, on the next day generating this video was taking forever because everybody in the world just jumped on this. It looks very, very nice. It's very fluent, and it analyzes these prompts very well. So regardless of whether it's long and short prompt, the results are very, very good, and even better than Runway sometimes. But it doesn't have as many options as Runway. So if I were to pay for something, I would prefer to pay for Runway. The question. I just wanted to add that out of the two, you have to be careful about Minimax with prompting, because it prompts Chinese, which means it automatically translates English prompts into Chinese, and sometimes this translation leaves a lot to be desired. So this is another additional element that you have to be careful about. That is true. Many people recommend that you better translate it in a proper translator into Chinese and then upload this. I remember when Minimax appeared, everybody was talking about this. You would enter this website, Hailuai AI. It was Chinese, and you felt like on a scam page and not the legit video generator. Then they made an English language version, but it works on the generator which is Chinese. So here I wanted to boast with my video, as you would say, wait, where's the author here? What's the impact? But it's a part of my romantic medieval project, and here there's a scene of a kiss. This is the image I generated in Midjourney, and I put it in Minimax, and I wrote that a man and a woman kiss. They sort of close their eyes. It was a very short description, and that was the first effect I got. I was waiting for I think it worked pretty well, and I'm really, really proud of it, even though I didn't do much there. But it shows you that the movement of the characters in this video is pretty realistic. Jacek, if you want to say two sentences, I'm very interested. Only that, and this relates also to Kling 1.5 and Minimax. We talked about that with Cobas yesterday, because these models are trained in China on absolutely without any regard to copyright. They really understand very well the emotionality that you put in, and this emotionality, if you prompt them in such a way, they are expressed not only in the behavior of characters but also in the light and the works of camera. So these models, on one hand, the problem is with the translation. On the other hand, the Chinese models understand very well the emotional aspect related to every shot. Thanks. It's great that you added this. Another interesting model is Luma Dream Machine. It has limited possibilities. You can set up the starting frame, the ending frame, and describe the movements. I think in this model, what's very interesting is that you can use it for transformation. I saw a number of films that base on this first frame, and at the end one and the final one that I generated an image with a dove, and then I erased that in Midjourney, and I asked the AI to generate the dragon, and then I used another tool to do it like this. I did it like this. So from that point of view, Luma is interesting to try out. We also have Pika. Pika has developed very quickly, and what I really appreciate in Pika, and I really love that, it is a bit of a flashy thing, because it has Pika effects, which consist in having like any sort of object, and you make it, you can squeeze things, or you can cutting it like a cake. So a knife appears. So if you it cuts it in half, you get more and more effects like this. Of course, when everybody will start to use them, we'll be fed up with them. Nevertheless, they are flashy, they're sassy, and this is a sound also generated in Pika. I was wondering, how do they do that on TikTok? Exactly, because there's plenty of people on TikTok with Trump being squished and exploding, because you have explosions, changing something into water, that it evaporates. It's a fun toy. We also have Kriya. With Kriya, you get a lot of interesting tools. I tend to repeat myself with this, but this is as it is. The power of Krea is that it makes great transformations of one image into another. Here you have a very simple idea that I generated. It has a very nice aesthetics. You can also choose the styles. I put in 3 pictures. I uploaded 3 pictures generated in Midjourney. One with flowers, the other one with dragon, and the third one with a woman. And I set them up in timeline, and I got a very short video. It is a few seconds long, so be very careful. Do not blink. So I think this is very interesting for dreamy visions or dream sequences, and for creative, for musical videos and having fun. Audio. We went through video. Now we're moving on. When it comes to audio, this kitten is the sponsor of this section. And when it comes to audio, I will not be delving too long on this. 11 Labs IO is the winner, which was set up by 2 Poles. So our national pride is, you can feel the national pride. We have a lot of voices to select, about 120, which we can use to generate audio for our movies. We can put in a text and it will generate this audio. Nevertheless, the emotionality, of course, you can somehow add some emotionality there, how this should be read, but voice changer is a great tool for this, so that the results of this audio is more closer to what we want this to sound like. So we're recording our own voice, the intonation that we want to have, and the voice, and we are changing that voice. Here, you will hear my voice. That was some Susan. And that was some guy. You can also create clones of your voice. So you give a sample of your voice, and then if you want to record something, if it was in the form of a podcast, Marcin doesn't need to come, I don't need to come, we'll just create out of our cloned voices, we will get these texts. So you can also have a dubbing. You put in a video in Polish, and it superimposes the English on this. It's good to know 11 Labs. I quite often use this at work when I'm creating some videos, and I generate these texts with my friends from 11 Labs. And not with live people. So I'm a bit sad about this, because this is more convenient. If something is wrong, you generate this once again. You do not have to write, can you come here once again? Because we need to sort of record something. So quickly moving on to music, because as I said, we have 11 Labs. Suno is a very popular platform, although Udio is also a strong contender. It allows you to generate instrumental music. So if you would want a background for the video, Suno can generate it for you. It also generates music with vocals. But even if you have an idea about the text, if you want to have this a song about something, it will create a text for you. Kobas was showing during his lecture the musical piece he created, and you can mix different styles. What's also a big limitation is that you cannot edit the length of the musical piece and its individual elements. So here I would want to have it slower, there I would like to have it longer. Since yesterday you can correct. Yesterday they allowed for the correction of individual words in the lyrics. And you can separate. That's the quickness of development. Cobas also says that you can separate music from the text, from the lyrics. That's incredible that whenever you're talking about these tools, there's somebody who says, since yesterday, you could do this and that. I wanted to ask, but can we use it in movies? Or things that we generate? If we generate something without any license, you can immediately, this is all ours. So far, it is. Jacek? It's a longer discussion. The questions of copyright of AI are still being born. Formally, when you're using this, you're signing a document. Suno, well, with all those, which theoretically gives you a license to use it in any way with the results of this activity. So formally, you have a license to use it. However, the problem is a bit different. Somebody can still question of any generated piece because they were trained on all data, etc., etc. There is no legal solutions on which way it will go. Only when we will know the results, we will know whether somebody can file claims or not. So the basic issue is when the model is being trained, does it steal or not? Yeah, the process of New York Times is still ongoing. It's just like with the money, we could talk about this on hours on end. This is the biggest puzzle right now because the law does not regulate the technology that develops so fast. And it's also interesting how it will get regulated because it's a very complicated topic. Where does it generate special effects? Oh yeah, because I forgot about Boot 11 Labs, that you can generate sound effects there. I even have a slide about that. As you can see, you can generate the roar of a lion or some other things. It's also very helpful when you very quickly need that and you don't want to go through all those libraries and of audio libraries. Thank you, Marcin. Moreover, Suno. And here I want to talk about the copyrights. If you put in that you want to have a Taylor Swift piece or any other sort of an author, you get a message that this is contrary to copyright and you can't do it. Of course, then you can circumvent this, writing what it's like and what you want to have it about, etc. But you know how it works. Yeah, it's a fig leaf. There is an author who has girly music industry, and they're on Spotify and they're in top 10 in the United States. I recommend it because the whole vocals are made by AI and the music and the voice. So it's a great example that you can make a pop hit music that is very trendy on TikTok right now. I think Jacek said that the musical market was the quickest to be killed by AI. I just wanted to relate it to Suno and Udio. In a practical context, I did tests. I made tests trying to prompt as clean as possible, giving as little information as possible to both, because I noticed the tendency in both, and it is confirmed. Suno is above all trained on pop music, and it has the tendency that this is the point of departure, and you can sort of direct the prompt to a more interesting, ambitious, unobvious types of music, but the point of departure is like totally pop. Yeah, like your average commercial radio. For Udio, it's the other way around. Udio is trained mainly, and Udio is made from the point of view of musicians, so that musicians could use this, because that's the narrative that they're selling or building. Udio is mainly trained on classical music, jazz, ambitious music, and you can get from Udio some really pop stuff, but the point of departure is from the other perspective. So depending on what you're looking for, one of the other system will be better, depending what you want to have, or easier to attain, because you can get both things there. Thanks, Jacek. It's faster, easier, more creative. Is it quicker, easier, more creative in commercials? Well, on one hand, I'm happy that my profession will stay, because according to me, prompting is like directing. So AI will not harm me because it needs a director. So I'm really happy about this. But even after experiences here in FSO, whether faster, not sure. It's not like this. Of course, plenty of simple things. If we're making a cat on the street, it's faster, it's nice. And filming a cat is difficult, and it helps. But with more complicated things and more creative things that we have inside our heads, and having the knowledge of these tools, we are able to get if you have the but this is it's a long time, long attempts. And connecting technologies, because you can't make complicated stuff only, for example, in Runway, because then you would have to know the classic tools that will help us, like Photoshop, those that were with us. So to get to this final effect, you have to know all these tools. You have to combine them, be able to combine them, and it's great fun, of course. But it's not necessarily quicker or easier, but I like it a lot. It's fantastic, but it requires constant vigilance and constant awareness of the development of this technology. You have to learn, you have to be up to speed with everything, you have to be on the cutting edge, you have to know these tools. So it's great fun. As I said, I'm so glad that I will not lose my job. But it is not so that this, just as we imagine that we make a movie in a minute. Even though you can make a lot of things in a minute. So we were talking about that in your lectures. There was this remark that if we don't go into the direction that we have in our head, but we set up, we establish contact with AI, and it will be a certain balance, that you will suggest something to me, I will see something, and that might be really nice, but slightly different from what I had in my head, and I accept it, and I will not try to get exactly the effect that I have in my head. Then it gives you results, and this is a certain tolerance between these tools and what I have inside my head. But I do think, one thing, I believe you have exactly the same sort of effort on the set. If you have actors, if you have the whole team, the whole crew, the DOP, everybody has their personality, and I will not force the DOP. If the DOP he's a hard man and he knows what he wants, of course I can convince them to my vision, but it will not be the vision 100% mine, because it will be combined with his vision. And I think this is how these tools work. It's just like we have what we do in life. This is the way we do right now in life. We also have to approach artificial intelligence. This is not the end of the lecture. Now that we're asking our these questions, I wanted to say two more things. I really love to be here, to talk to people and to bring together certain ideas to reflect them from other minds and to know what we have here. And I do have an impression here that when we said that we'll do something in post-production, that's what we used to say. Now we say we'll do that in AI. So maybe not. We should be approaching this in such a way, especially that our group is like something you cannot do during the filming. Everybody would say, okay, we'll do that in AI. We have so many tools to do in AI already in our commercials that it seems a bit funny, and it doesn't work like this. Edyta is absolutely right that everybody's going crazy right now, that if you cannot shoot it, you make it in AI, but we made a number of attempts which have to be made for our commercials, and it occurs that it's not that easy. I also love it when today I heard about editing. If you're editing in Premiere, you're editing it through via text, so it generates transcription, and instead of going through individual parts of video, you just cut out the text, and thanks to that, the video gets cut out. And the documentary group is making a movie about a Peruvian guy. They translated what he says because nobody speaks Spanish in a group. They translated that with AI, and right now they're editing this based on this text. So this is a very interesting use, and it's good to know it. Apart from this, I don't know if you talks to Janek Kłoczka, our translator, during breakfast. I recommend this. It's a very interesting experience. And Janek today was talking, because he's an interpreter and a translator, among others. And Janek was saying today that for him, artificial intelligence is a boon. Big words. Okay, I twisted that, but he says that before that he spent a lot of time just typing what he translates, and that he was fed up because it was a lot of physical strain, writing on the keyboard. And right now, it generates the first translation with a good AI translator, and checks whether what the translator did makes sense. And when it comes to financial things, as of today, he says it's fantastic. He gets the same money because he pays for taking responsibility for how it is translated and not for typing away. So I think this is an interesting approach that I learned here in Film Spring Open. And I work every day in the Innovation Hub, where we advise the clients how they could use new technologies in their systems. These are mainly software things. And I remember that 1.5 years ago, we had GenAI boom, and everybody wanted to have something with GenAI. And they were laughing that, okay, sell me a pen. This pen has GenAI, and everybody would buy it. So my colleague quite often repeated that if you are to hit a nail, you're not using a screwdriver for this, or you're using a hammer. So GenAI is a bit of a automatic screwdriver. So you don't have to do everything with AI, but it's good to know what this automatic screwdriver, what it can do. Avatars became an interesting thing, and that based on one picture, you can generate a video avatar that talks to you, and which you can use for video to say whatever you want. You can make it based on your picture. Sometimes they look uncanny, but it is developing. What's the software? It's HeyGen. It's the most popular one. Below you have an alternative. And according to me, a very interesting option is video translations. Yesterday in my room, I recorded a video where I thank you for coming here, and I wanted to play it for you, so I don't have to say it personally. But then I thought that there are also people, international listeners. This is not exactly my voice, but I like it. and because Film Spring Open, I think, in this Cold War could work with China. It's good to learn Chinese or use it. I like that my sweet smile is retained by AI at the end, so I see myself in this. And I'm very interested in what your experience is after this lecture. Do you think it's quicker, better, more creative, easier? Applause? Thank you. So you generated the applause a moment ago, Kobas. Do you have any other questions? I have a question. It's good that you're here with us. I mean, contrary to what you might think, I learned a lot. I have a very concrete question concerning the industry. However, to you, Maciej, but to sum up, Jacek also likes to sum up. So why summing up? Because we're all learning from one another at such a tempo that it's worth, even and from your lecture that also arises, and I also see such problems when I'm cooperating with someone making some sort of projects. I think that we have to understand that artificial intelligence is used in so many forms that we unnecessarily think about artificial intelligence as one thing. Secondly, that it will do everything for us. So let's separate this in two ways. First, a certain creativity that is which is a certain randomness of result. And the second one is talking about automation of work. Even today, the automation of work has been speeding up our work, and something that is creative, what we have most reservations against, is the generative intelligence. And here again, we could make a separate lecture about this, but I really suggest to you to understand whether we want to automate the work or do we want to creativize it. That's a general remark, but I really thank you. I didn't know a few things, especially about the script writing, and I don't use that. And in terms of prompt, I can start a prompt with one dot. You put a dot in Midjourney, the effects that you will get can totally not be related to the situation I need, but it can open my mind like a key. So Marcin, I need to ask you, how did you transform from analog through digital now to AI? So personal question, do you feel this is a revolution bigger than a digital revolution in commercials? Or don't you think something like a cringe, some clients don't want to work with the AI guys, and some having no idea about AI, they said, I want it cheaper, I want it more beautiful, I want it more creative, and in fact, where is the commercial agency and you as a director where you are? Do you see that there can be something like the dissolution of the industry, because you will be like an opera singer in the 20th century, that 17th, 18th century, you were living great. Today, they're not bad, but democratizing musical tools caused throngs of bands appearing, and the Beatles appeared, etc., and opera went into decline. Is it is the question too complicated? I know, but what does it look like in the commercial industry? First, I will tell about myself. From the very start, of course, I started on a film, but when we moved to digital, I was thrilled because I'm a technology fan. And when I was making commercials, I was considered a director who mainly does special effects commercials. So all new technologies that appeared, I was at the forefront and I used them. I remember the first computer called HAL appeared. It was a computer where you would sit night after night because one effect got calculated for 12 hours and you were supposed to wait for it in order to improve that. But that was fascinating for me because the effect was so great that we were thrilled even sleeping in editing rooms. So it looks like this a bit, that I believe that we're moving on, the world is moving on. And for me, the artificial intelligence is not a threat at all, because I can see how much this artificial intelligence needs from us. We are talking to it. We need it. We're talking to it, and the artificial intelligence needs to have this discussion with us, and it needs directive from us what it has to do. So even now, these tools do not allow you to do everything. You have to work around them somehow, but I personally, I'm not afraid of that, and I'm really happy that it appears. But from the point of view of a commercial making an agency, I believe that agencies will start to shrink in scope. Many departments will be reduced to only directors. So if you have copywriting departments and you have 10 copywriters, you would need only head of copywriting, because he would be prompting, he would be asking questions or giving tasks to artificial intelligence. It will correct it. Maybe he will have an assistant who will be helping him, but generally a lot of departments will shrink. But from the point of view of creativity, if a person would decide at the end, if artificial intelligence spews out something, I will be accepting whether I like it or not. This creativity, in my view, will increase rather than decrease. For sure, we can have a lot of smaller agencies too. We can have a lot of competition. It's not that, like here and now, let's say we have 10 big agencies that decide. It can happen so that we will have 50 smaller agencies, which will be equally good. And that will be a financial crisis for the big agencies. I think you have to look at it economically, and the big agencies should worry, because artificial intelligence will allow very small teams to do things that were done only by big agencies in the past. From my point of view, it is, of course, we are shooting these commercials. I can't tell you what will happen in 5 years' time, whether artificial intelligence will not grow in such a way that I will be just write down this and that, and I'll get the effect, and I won't need any crew, any shooting days. This quality will be exactly as if I shot it on the street. The only thing that I see right now, the only point which is very difficult to generate in artificial intelligence is the actors, the acting. The actors play. Meryl Streep, who offers me to play an ingenious scene, and this is something that dazzles me, and this is ingenious, the interpretation of the text that she does, and I can't see that to be done by AI. And that mimicry is very, very lacking. It's the plasticity, the graphics is fantastic, transformations, visions, things that are abstract. They're impossible to shoot in terms of graphicality and images. It's fantastic. From the point of view of acting, it's primitive. And another thing that we would always need to be careful about as humans is storytelling. Is that, of course, all these, I have nothing against you, like musical videos, abstract stuff, lifestyle things, fine. But if you have a very precise story, just like yesterday I was watching a movie in the cinema, which has a very precise story, then this has to be guarded by humans. Of course, AI might help with that. Hi, I'm sorry. First of all, I would like to thank you very much. And I'm not holding you on in this discussion, but we have another lecture. So you can stay here. I just wanted to say that some of you will leave you because you want to go to see Staroin's story. So fans of artificial intelligence, you can stay here or in the cafeteria. And I would like to thanks again, but we have to keep to the timetable. So once again, thanks again for your fantastic lecture. Thank you.